sanctions not only undermines efforts to find a diplomatic settlement around Iran's nuclear program, but also shows disdain for the UN Security Council's resolution. Why are the U.S. and the EU disdainful of the U.S. resolution and their allies that are against unilateral sanctions?
The problem is that Russia wants to avoid two things. Russia by no means would like the United States or the European Union to take any armed measures against Iran. A war in Iran is absolutely unacceptable for Russia, and Russia will do everything to prevent that possibility. On the other hand, Russia is also afraid of Iran getting close to acquiring nuclear weapons. So obviously Russia's position oscillates between these two dangers, and that explains Russia's attitude. Yesterday Russia criticized Tehran for some of its very critical statements about Russia, and today Russia criticized the EU for its punitive sanctions. What Russia wants is Iran at peace with Europe, with Russia, and with possibly all the other countries of the world.
Well, now, what do you think about Russia? Will they comply with the U.S. and the EU's unilateral sanctions?
No, I think Russia has no obligation before the United States or the European Union to follow their policies on Iran. Russia has its own position on Iran. And Russia wants to see Iran as a peaceful state and as a reliable economic partner, because, as you know, there are all sorts of informal bans on Russia's exports to the EU countries and to the United States. So Iran is a very important economic partner for Russia. And in that sense, Russia will not support sanctions which can cripple Iranian economy.
However, Russia did support the sanctions from the UN. What's the difference? Can you explain the difference between supporting the sanctions by the UN and now supporting, for example, the EU and the US?
Well, it's clear that the UN sanctions were dictated by the information which the UN received from the International Atomic Energy Agency, from other international bodies. As for the American sanctions, obviously they are often guided by political considerations. It's clear that Iran is demonized in the United States. It's presented as an existential threat to Israel, and it's given many other bad names. And obviously it would be very unwise for Russia to follow American policy on Iran. But Russia, on the other hand, as a responsible member of the United Nations and the international community as a whole, Russia cannot disregard the opinion of the United Nations. And in that sense, Russia just complied with the decision of the majority at the UN Security Council.
Do you think that part of that, what you just said, that as you call the demonization by the U.S. Of Iran, do you think that that had any effect on the original resolution from the UN? Do you think possibly the demonization of the U.S. perhaps could have put pressure on the UN Security Council at all?
I can only tell you that Russia and China will not allow themselves to be pressured on Iran. Russia and possibly China will only take measures if they see that Iran is indeed close to acquiring a nuclear weapon. And unless that becomes clear, Russia and China will not do anything against Iran, and Russia and China will do business with Iran. Okay. That's just about as much as it is clear from the statements of both President Medvedev and Prime Minister Putin and other Russian politicians.
Okay, that's Dmitry Babich. Thanks so much. The Chief Editor, Russia Profile Magazine, joining us from Moscow. I'm continuing with the story from Russia.